this session, we're going to talk about smart contracts. So, what are smart contracts? How do smart contracts help us? We shall also look at an example of an Airbnb style rental agreement using smart contracts. What are the various concepts involved in building a smart contract using Ethereum? What are the concepts of gas in Ethereum? What are gas prices and what is gas limit? What are the various components of a transaction in Ethereum? And finally, what are our smart contract deployment options? So let's get started. A smart contract is a protocol intended to digitally facilitate, verify, or enforce the negotiation or performance of a contract. Simply put, it's just a business logic validation on a blockchain. How do smart contracts actually help? The first thing a smart contract does is to remove the middleman. So they help you exchange money, property, shares, or anything of value in a transparent, conflict-free way while avoiding the services of a middleman. So basically, we are eliminating middlemen using smart contracts. So if you look at this illustration here, we have the traditional process and we have a smart contract process. So in the traditional process, here we are giving an example of a person buying a home. So we have two parties here, a buyer and a seller. And if you look at the traditional process, you will notice how complicated this has become and how many people are involved here. We have a lawyer, we have a broker, we have an insurer. Just to make a transaction between a buyer and seller, there are various components involved, various people involved, and everybody charges a fee and a commission based on the value of the property. So in a contract, in a smart contract, you see that we have eliminated all these middlemen, the lawyers, the brokers and insurers. And if you see the illustration below, you will see that a buyer and the seller only need to agree upon the contract to use, the smart contract to use, and the smart contract itself will take care of all the nuances in buying and selling a home. So that is the main difference between a smart contract approach and a traditional process. So a simplified definition given by Vitalik Buterin of Ethereum is, in a smart contract approach, an asset or currency is transferred into a program, and this program runs this code and at some point validates this condition or a business logic, and it automatically determines whether the asset should go to one person or back to the other person, whether it should be immediately refunded to the person who sent it or some combination thereof. Basically, he's saying that a smart contract works like a flow chart which makes decisions based on the conditions placed in a smart contract. Now in this example here, we, as you know, we have this Airbnb where a person actually books a rental location, rental property for a specified period of time. And because Airbnb is centralized, they charge about 17 to 20% of the fee plus the applicable state taxes. Even the landlord has to pay some kind of a tax to the state for putting up his property under Airbnb. So let us see how this can be done using a smart contract. So in a smart contract, this is enforced by a digital lock. So what happens is a user first selects a property that he likes, that he wants to rent, and he sends money to a contract. So the moment he sends money to a contract, here I mean a smart contract, the smart contract sends back a door code which tells the user that he can use this code to enter the home on that particular day. So this smart contract takes the money and holds the money in an escrow account, and this releases this escrow account. The money is released from this escrow account on the first day of the guest check-in. So when the guest checks in on the first day of his rental accommodation, this money would be transferred to the landlord. Suppose in case the guest cancels the reservation, some amount will be refunded automatically to the guest and the door code will be changed or cancelled. The advantage of this is there is no middleman involved and everything happens through a smart contract, and all the parties are notified about this transaction, and this eliminates a very large 17% to 20% Airbnb's fee. And the advantage of this decentralized contract approach is that it saves a lot of money and a lot of coordination between middlemen, and also eliminates the counterparty risk. Okay, so the next slide I'm going to talk about how to set up a smart contract using Ethereum and what are the concepts involved. So in the Ethereum, there is a virtual machine known as Ethereum Virtual Machine, EVM. So a smart contract is a piece of code or logic that is executed on the Ethereum Virtual Machine or EVM. An Ethereum smart contract is immutable and can send or receive ether and data. Ethereum stitches the business logic into the blockchain, and miners will validate this smart contract before adding the transaction to the block. So the way this works is all the transactions are in a pool, and the miners fetch the transaction from the pool and add it to the block. Before adding the transaction to the block, the miners verify the smart contract, the business logic in the smart contract. So the way it works in Ethereum is, for every operation to be performed, to perform operations, resources need to be spent so that the network functions without any exploitation. I'm going to talk about this, the third point, more in the next slide. For any contract to work, Ethereum uses what is known as a gas. Ethereum gas is a unit that measures the amount of computational effort that it will take to execute a certain operation. So every single operation that takes part in Ethereum, be it a transaction or a smart contract execution, requires some amount of gas. Just understand that every operation in a transaction requires some unit of computation, which is a gas. So the miners who put the transactions together into a block, they get paid an amount in ETH, which is equivalent to the total amount of gas it took for them to execute a complete operation. So what this essentially means is, a gas is the unit of measure of computational effort which is used by the miner to execute a computational operation. So basically we have to pay miners to put the transactions together into a block and validate our smart contract. Now, what is a gas price and what is a gas limit? Generally, the concept of a gas is used to incentivize miners to put the transaction together into a block. So smart contracts in EVM, Ethereum Virtual Machine, are coded using Solidity. So each line of code in Solidity requires certain amount of gas in order to be executed. So here the gas is the computational effort that is needed to execute the transaction, execute the operation in a transaction. So here, according to the Ethereum yellow paper, every transaction requires at least 20,000 units of gas. I'm going to talk about hash rate, why it is important. Generally, when you put together a blockchain, there is a certain metric known as hash rate. It's always good to have a very high hash rate. It keeps the network secure, and hash rate is the algorithm that is used to convert plain text into a hash, and this happens at a very fast rate. And miners are responsible for adding transactions into the blocks and validating smart contracts. Let's talk about Ethereum gas limit. So we know what is gas price. Now we know what is a gas, a unit of computation. And now let's talk about gas limit. A gas limit refers to the maximum amount of gas a sender is willing to pay for a transaction. Now suppose you get a rental car through a rental car company from an airport, and you want to go somewhere, you want to travel about 100 miles. So basically you fill your gas tank in your car to drive 100 miles. So that is the gas limit. So gas limit is the amount of gas that a sender is willing to pay to complete a transaction. The sender of the transaction must specify the gas limit before it is submitted to the network. Now each operation has a different gas cost. So the miner will stop executing the moment the gas is over. It's just like the car stops as soon as the gas is over. And the leftover gas is refunded. Suppose in case a transaction is completed and you have given it a higher gas, if there is a gas left in the transaction after the transaction is complete, the leftover gas is refunded. That's what this means. So if you look at the right side, there is a diagram here. You can see a block, and the block has set of transactions. Now each transaction has a gas limit. We see the first one has 30,000 units, the second one has 21,000, and so on. So every block also has a gas limit, otherwise it becomes a bloated block. So the miner can only put transactions in the block which is less than the gas limit of a block. Now let's take a good sample here. So consider a smart contract that adds two numbers. So what happens is there's a first step where you store a number called 15 into a variable. Let's say this gas costs about 5,000 gas units. And similarly, the second point is the second step is you're adding two variables together, and let's say this costs around 10,000 gas. And they're storing the result again, which will cost you about 8,000 gas. So if you add all this, it comes about 23,000 units of gas, and that is what it takes to execute this transaction, this smart contract. So when you run this MetaMask plugin using some test network, you have to specify the gas limit and the gas price. So as you can see here on the right side, we have calculated this gas limit about 60,000 units. This is just an example, and this is the gas price. So gas price is actually measured in V. V is the subdivision of an ether. An ether has several subunits, and it can be broken down into different units. For example, a dollar can be broken down into dimes, like 10 dimes make a dollar, and similarly 100 cents make a dollar. Similarly, you can break down Ethereum, the ETH, into subunits. So here we use a unit called GWay, and here the unit is, there is 20, that's the price is about 20 GWay per unit, and so you're multiplying this and you're getting the transaction fee and the total. So what are the components of a transaction in Ethereum? So we need to know the recipient's address, the transfer amount, the gas limit and the gas price for the transaction, contract bytecode, which is what Solidity compiler compiles the smart contract into contract bytecode, the data to invoke for a contract, and the data to verify the signature. So these are the 6 components you need to complete the execution of a transaction in Ethereum. Now let us take an example for Hello World contract, smart contract here. So in this example, in this demo here, I'm going to use this Ropstein test network, and I'm going to use this Infuria. The Infuria is just a tool to access a public node through a simple API. So I'm going to show you how to use Infuria to access this public API. I'm going to create this HD wallet that takes my seed phrase and uses my Ethereum gas through my Ropstein test network. And I'm going to show you how we all put this together using this Web3, JSON RPC and so on in my test client using command line. So these are, I just want to show you, these are the sample fee values for different operations. For example, I have this operation called GBase, which takes about 2 units of gas, and I have all this, I have GBalance, who takes 400 amount of gas for the balance operation, and so on. There's also a GSuicide where a refund is given for a suicide operation, refund given added to the refund counter for suiciding an account. which is 24,000 gas units. But in order to run the suicide operation, you have to pay 5,000 units of gas, amount of gas to pay for a suicide operation. And 38,000 units is the amount you pay for a create operation. So it's a lot of gas you need to pay for every operation in a transaction. Let us do a demo of how to create a smart contract using Solidity. I'm using Infura to connect to my test network. I'm going to show you how to configure Infura, how to create a project. And if you don't have an account, you go ahead and sign up for Infura. It is free for first 10,000 transactions. Just do a sign up and then set up your Infura account. I'm going to show you how to create a project and how to set up your first smart contract node. So I've logged in into Infura here. So I have these options here. I have Ethereum, ETH2, Filecoin. So I'm going to go to Ethereum first, and I've already created a project here called 2021 April 17 smart contract. I've created this first project here. You can create a project using this create new project here and just specify the name. So once you create a project, you will get, when you go inside, when you click on this, you will see various metrics here, how many requests have been done, what are the main top 10 requests by the methods. For example, I'm getting ETH get block by number, ETH get transaction receipt, ETH block number, and so on. I'm getting all this information here. It also shows me at what day and what time I have placed the request here, and how many method calls, and how much of data bandwidth has been consumed here, as you can see. Now in the settings is what I have various details about my Infura API, which I'm not going to show you because it would expose my keys. I have used the same keys in my project that I've just shown, that I'm going to show you. Okay. So this is my settings screen. As you can see here, I have set the endpoint to Ropstein. And I have this endpoint here, which I'm going to use in my Truffle project. As you can see here, this is my keys for my endpoint Ropstein network, and this is the name of my smart contract, and this is my project ID. I'm not showing the complete project ID as this would violate the value of the key, so I'm not doing that. You can also use this online editor called Remix, where you can specify the various smart contracts. SOL is the extent for a Solidity file, where you define the smart contract. This is one of the ways you can do it using the Remix editor here. I'll make it. Can you see it? Yeah, much bigger now. Okay. Similarly, this is a spreadsheet I found for the various gas prices for various operations. So this spreadsheet is available on the internet. If you go to the Ethereum scan, you can get out this spreadsheet. I'm using this Ropstein Ethereum faucet here. I'm going to show you how to get some ETH using this. What you need to do is you go to your MetaMask here, MetaMask extension here, and copy this address. If you look at this, I'm set up this Ropstein test network. And I'm going to copy this to my clipboard here, and I'm going to paste it here. Once I paste it here and I click on send me test ETH, because this faucet drips 1 ETH every 5 seconds, I would get some ETH. So right now I have about less than 1 ETH, as you can see here, for my Ropstein test network. I can say test send me test ETH, and I have a gray listing because I've already asked for ETH about 12 hours back, so it needs 24 hours again waiting for you get to your ETH. So I have to wait for again another 13 hours to get my ETH. I've already got ETH, as you can see here. My MetaMask is already 0.99 ETH left. I've written a simple smart contract here called as Hello World. I'm just printing out a string here called my first smart contract hello. That's what I'm doing here. I'm just printing a smart contract called hello. This code is written in Solidity. So the first line tells you the compiler version I'm using. I'm using a Solidity compiler version which is greater than 0.4.22, greater than equals to. So here in Solidity you have to specify the correct version you're using, and the version, the syntax here depends on the version of the compiler you're using. So the contract name is hello world. That is a contract name, as you can see here, contract followed by the keyword, and the function is say hello, which returns a string called my first smart contract hyphen hello. It's a very simple smart contract which returns a string. So when you want to set up your project using smart contract, we use Truffle here. Truffle is the one that sets up this structure here. So you have three folders: a contracts folder, a migrations folder, and finally a Truffle config file, Truffle config JavaScript file. So in this project I'm using JavaScript and Solidity. The Solidity file has this .sol extension, and by which the compiler knows it's a Solidity file. So once you have written this, you have to go to this deploy. You write this deploy contracts.js, which basically instantiates and exports this contract. So here I have a variable called hello world, which says artifacts.require hello world, which is actually referencing this contract hello world, and it says module.exports function deployer deploy hello world, and hello is the string that is being passed. Now in your Truffle config.js we specify various settings. Here we are using a Truffle HD wallet. This is to read your mnemonic secret code using the I have used the MetaMask wallet here, and this secret file, as you see in this secret file here, as you can see here, it has the value of my seed for my wallet. That's what it is stored here. So basically I'm reading this mnemonic here and I'm passing it to the HD wallet. So let me scroll down and show you. So if you look at this, I'm using this Ropstein test network under Infura. I'm going to show you how to configure Infura in a second. And this is my key. I'm not showing you the complete key, as that would violate the network. I'm not going to show you the complete key. And so I'm using this HD wallet, instantiating this and passing the mnemonic here. As you can see, the mnemonic is passed here. That's the first parameter. And this is just the test values for the Ropstein ID, Ropstein gas, the number of confirmations I need to wait until the block is confirmed, and the timeout, and the dry run. I'm just saying it's not a dry run, so I'm putting it as false. So skip dry run is actually true, which means it's not a dry run. So when you are pushing it to public network, you need to skip this to set this to false. Okay, so now how do we, so my question again is how is this structure generated? This structure is generated by using Truffle. So I'm going to show you some commands right now. So you first set up Truffle using this npm install -g global Truffle. This will set up Truffle on your box, and G stands for global. So once you set up Truffle, you need to create a new folder for your Truffle smart contract project. So that's what I did here. Is I'm going to scroll down and show you. So once Truffle is set up, I do Truffle init within my folder here. So I create a new folder called, let me show you. I created a new folder called Hello Smart Contracts. And once you have created a new folder, you can just say Truffle init, which will create the structure that I just showed you before. Once you have done that, you need to deploy the contract here. So for that, you have to use Truffle deploy network Ropstein. So this will deploy your smart contract into the Ropstream network. Before you need to make sure that you have enough money, enough gas in the Ropstream network, so which you need to get from the faucet. So if you don't have enough gas, you will get an error like this: insufficient funds for gas price and value. This is the error you will get when you don't have enough gas for your smart contract to execute. So once you put in enough gas, you can do a deploy again, truffle deploy minus network Ropstream. This is what you're gonna do. And once you do this, it's gonna compile it and deploy the migrations, as you can see here, and it will give you a contract ID, which is what is this is the contract address, which is the smart contract address. This is what we need to execute the smart contract. So once you have this smart contract address, you can execute it using the truffle command line. I'm going to just show you right now. So once you have the contract address, you just have to execute the contract. So I'm waiting here. In this case, I'm waiting for 2 confirmations from a block to get created and saving the migrations. And this is the amount of ETH that is being used to generate a simple hello world smart contract. So let me show you how to execute a smart contract. So here we have our smart contract address, which is here. So let me show you. So what I'm doing here is I'm creating this console called truffle console -- network Ropstream. So I'm starting this console. So once I start the console, I just have to run the command to execute my contract. I have pasted this command here, hello world.deployed .then function instance return instance.chello. So basically I'm calling this, invoking this function using the JavaScript, and I'm executing this say hello smart contract function. Let's see what happens. So when I execute the function, I'm getting my string back. I'm getting my first smart contract hello. This is what I'm printing to the console using my smart contract. So that's what is getting returned here. You can also look at the contract that is deployed using this command line. Let me show you how. So in this command, if you see here, I'm again invoking the hello world deployed method here, and I'm calling function instance return instance. Instead of creating the instance instead of saying instance.say hello, I'm just returning the instance, which will give me back the actual smart contract that's been deployed. This is the actual smart contract that is converted into bytecode. So I have this function called say hello, and it has the send transaction, estimate gas, and the request, and so on. And if I go to scroll to the top, I'll see the bytecode that has been generated for my smart contract. This is the bytecode that has been generated by the Solidity compiler, as you can see here. Yeah, the compiler version and the language is Solidity, and so on. See you guys in the next session.